We had a confidence of 99.99999% accuracy. The Earth is flat.
Yeah.
Einstein told us in 1936 that space, the light bends in a curved space, and space gets curved if matter is there. So the fact that this cluster exists, curved space, magnifying that distant galaxy, and allowing us to actually weigh this cluster and weigh the universe. And we find out most of the mass in that system is invisible.
Okay, I'm going to break this down so we can make sure we understand what it is that he's talking about. So let's review these terms. Space is invisible. Light is invisible. Matter has mass. Okay, now you have to understand all these. Moving on. He states that matter curves space. He also says that light bends when space is curved. Okay? Does everybody understand that? So he says, when they weigh that cluster, they find that most of its mass is invisible. Therefore, sometimes mass is invisible. So what we need to do is go back and plug that in to the page we were on before, here, and plug in the fact that sometimes matter is invisible. Okay?
Einstein told us in 1936 that space, the light bends in a curved space, and space gets curved if matter is there. So the fact that this cluster exists, curved space, magnifying that distant galaxy, and allowing us to actually weigh this cluster and weigh the universe. And we find out most of the mass in that system is invisible.
Now we need to cancel out all these other things. So matter and mass is invisible, and let's see, space is invisible, and light is invisible, and space is invisible. Okay, so what we have now is that invisible stuff curves space, which is invisible, and light, which is invisible, bends when space, which is invisible, is curved. And they know all this from the image. They're using the image of the cluster to weigh the cluster. Now remember, weight is just gravity. So if they're weighing something, they're trying to find out the gravity. So when they use that image to weigh that cluster, they find out that most of the mass in that system is invisible. They're using an image to weigh a cluster that's light years away. And when they do so, they find out that most of the mass in the image is invisible. So let's test this information out on the moon. If matter, like the moon, does indeed bend space or curve space, which in turn bends light, is it not reasonable that the moon would curve space and thus bend the sun's light around the moon, engulfing it, making it completely visible? I mean, that surely seems reasonable to me. If, like the good physicist says, if in fact matter curves space and space bends light, then surely the sun's light should be bending around the moon and lighting up the whole moon. The fact that half of the moon is invisible is not accounted for. In fact, there's even a thing called earth shine, which is the sun's shining off the earth, which should be lighting up part of the moon. But instead we get half of the moon which is totally invisible. It's not even in a shadow. It's invisible. What other objects can you think of that half of that object is invisible when it's in the sunlight? 'Cause I can't think of any. Anything that's in the sunlight is completely engulfed in sun and light. An airplane in the sky. You still see all the airplane. It's not like the shadow side of the airplane is invisible. Or a yoga ball in the sun. The entire yoga ball is visible. It's the shadow side of the ball is not invisible. It's hardly even darkened.
Okay, and that alone is telling you the Earth is flat. The Earth is flat. We had a confidence of 99.99999% accuracy. The Earth is flat.
Yeah.
The Earth is flat. The Earth is flat.